Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of the Nehill Scoop, Nehill County's official podcast. I am your host, Christine, and I would like to officially welcome you to the month of May. Today is May 1st. There is lots going on in the county right now, so buckle up and I will tell you all about it. First off, our dust control program is now accepting applications. So we talked about this a little bit in our last podcast, which was all about roads. Note my shameless plug right there. So if you want more information about it, go ahead and give that podcast a listen. But we do have calcium chloride available for residents, industrial operations, agricultural operations. If you have a local gravel road outside your property, you can apply to have the calcium chloride, which is $11.50 per meter. You have to apply by May 9th, or you can have spec crude applied, and those applications are open until June 13th. Important to note with the calcium chloride, if you're paying for 2 applications, there's one that's done fairly soon and then one is done in the fall. But you can also, I believe sometime in June, we'll have it on our website. You can apply to have just like the single application of calcium chloride. That is $5.75 per meter. And again, that will be coming out later, so just check back for that. Otherwise, coming up, we have our annual Household Hazardous Waste Roundup. So this is May 24th. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and that is at the Nehill County Shop Yard. So yeah, if your garage is, you got old cleaners, you've got old paint cans, you've got old solvents, like all that kind of stuff, just collecting dust in your shelves, feel free to bring them on in. A full list of what we accept is available on our website. This is for household waste only, so we don't accept commercial loads. So yeah, don't be an old painty can Ned. Make sure you bring in your household hazardous waste. We also have our ratepayer evenings coming up. Now, I did speak about this a little bit last episode, but make sure you save the date. We've got June 12th is in Huxley and June 19th is in Horseshoe Canyon. So we really encourage you to just come on out, have some supper, have a chat with your neighbors. We're going to have all of our experts in the same room. Council will be there, so you can come, have some great discussions, some conversations, ask your questions, and maybe even win a door prize or two. Our scholarship program is still accepting applications, so you have until June 30th to apply for that. And I know we have a bunch of local grads coming up, so it's a perfect time to be thinking about this. Get some money to go towards your university or your college in the fall. And more information on the scholarship is, you guessed it, on our website. We love putting things on our website. Our day use areas are now officially open, so you can go to Horseshoe Canyon or Orkney Viewpoint, take in the view, go for a hike. Make sure if you are going hiking in Horseshoe Canyon, it can get really hot and dry down in the bottom. Make sure you're taking lots of water and just prepare before you head down there. Our campgrounds are opening long weekend in May. If you want to book a site, you can head to our website. It's all done online through Let's Camp, and I'll make sure that link is on our podcast page as well. So kicking off May is the annual Emergency Preparedness Week. So this is from May 4th to 10th, just like the name says, to raise public awareness about emergencies and how you can prepare for them. And we always think that stuff never happens here, but it does. It's actually surprising how many emergencies we've had in Nehill County. So joining me today to talk about it, I have Deb Neitz and Dan Marsellus. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Deb is our Protective Services Manager, and Dan is our Rural Fire Chief. But on top of those positions, they are also our Director and Deputy Director of Emergency Management. So what is emergency management and why should residents care about it?
Simply, emergency management is about preparing and responding and recovering and then reviewing and mitigating any risks.
So what kind of emergencies are we most at risk for?
So in the county, we look at it through a rural lens. We have risks that are based on a probability, but what we see is the impacts are increasing to the people and property. That's what we look at when we're doing our risk reviews. So some of the risks that we have in the county include not only weather related, like tornadoes or overland flooding. We also have more like the traffic. So we have big trucks, we have big highways, more of a hazmat risk. But then we also have train derailments. So more on the transportation routes.
Right. And that's not something you really think of when you think emergency. I wouldn't think, a big truck could cause something, but they definitely can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. A few years ago, we had a fuel tanker just out here on Highway 21. We had to close highway, redirect traffic. Highway was blocked for a good 8 hours. Then we had mitigation after that. So we're going to do the recovery steps. Now we're back into preparing for another incident. Right. So we keep this circle going so we can look at things, learn from it, and make it better for everybody else.
Yeah, it never takes a day off preparing for emergencies, really. So is there different ways we prepare for like wildfires versus floods versus tornadoes? Or is it just like you said, we're always like in the middle of preparing, recovering?
Yeah, absolutely. There's an entire cycle with it. We work closely with the area fire departments as well, especially when it comes to grass fires. And Dan can probably talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we do. The fire departments will get the first notification.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to come out. They're going to have a look at it. We'll do what we call a size up. We basically look at what we have. What do we have coming in? What can we do? How are we going to mitigate it? Once we have that in play, we go. So last August, we had that big grass fire in the county.
Mm-hmm.
We had 4 fire departments come in. A sheer wind wildfire is going to cover land very quickly. Vulcan County had one where they had to bring in water bombers. Wheatland County had one a few years ago too, where the rate of spread was very fast. You can't get people in front of it, and the higher the flame is at the front, you're actually going to hurt people. So we've got to have the right tactics in. That's where we take care of that. A tornado, basically what we have to tell people is you have to have a go bag ready. Make sure you have something ready for 72 hours. There's a lot of information out there. I won't dive too much into the kit, but have a 72-hour kit ready and have your important documents with you. Have your passport, your medications, anything you need for your pets. Deb and I were also part of the Central Regional Hazard Incident Management Team. We deployed to Drayton Valley, and what we saw up there was people left their pets behind.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to take care of their pets while they're gone. If you don't take them, they become something that we have to look after, plain and simple.
And because we are rural, we also have the livestock emergency plan, right?
You betcha.
And so you kind of touched this a little bit, but grass fires, especially when it's drier, as it has been, and we do have those crazy winds coming through. So what can residents do to prevent them?
You may notice every spring and fall that within Nehill County, a fire ban will come into play. There's technically 4 levels to it. One is no fire ban, no alert, no anything. The first level is a fire advisory. We are aware of drying conditions. We're aware that we don't have enough moisture. With the burn permit process that we have, we want to make sure that what you're trying to burn can be mitigated. Putting the advisory on, it's like, okay, hey, be aware. The next level is restriction. We don't opt for the restriction level because it only deals with public lands. There's not a lot of public lands here.
Mm.
We go right to fire ban as the next level. At that point, all fire activity stops.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we are looking at putting on one very soon. We're aware of how dry the conditions are out now. We haven't had a lot of moisture. We are expecting some high heat or wind speeds to be increasing as well. So we look at a lot of information. When we decide to put this on, we go to the fire danger maps on the Alberta website. Alberta Wildfire has a lot of systems out there where they monitor the weather for us. We don't have to spend money on that as a county. We can actually tap into that, and everybody in the public can go to the fire danger maps and have a look for themselves. We look at fine fuel moisture content, so that tells us how dry the grasses are. That tells us how much we've got there. We look at the initial spread index. So based on the winds coming in and how dry things are, how quickly is that fire going to move? If these are in the extreme, we put a fire ban on. If you had a fire pit over winter, fire bans kind of lead into that, but this is just one extra step. Check them for heat. They've been covered, they've been smothered, they've been under all this nice snow, and they've had a chance to just insulate with the heat. As these winds kick up, we had a couple in the last couple weeks here where they reignited. The fire triangle, we need a fuel source, we need air to feed it, and we need fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have the heat and the fuel. All they needed was the air. So as the winds pick up, now they've got the air back again, the fire restarts. So with that, if you can mitigate that by going through, and if you notice it's hot, take your harrows out if you can, and just go around it and get it to mineral earth so you can limit how far that's going to go and just contain it in there. Then we can come in with the trucks and soak it down and put it out. Or if you've got your own water trailer and all that there, please take care of it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Go in there. You've got the equipment to get into wherever your burn pits are at, and you can dump water in there to actually put it out. But you're actually mitigating it better that way for us. When we can't do those kind of things, we need to put the ban on and slow the chances for these things to go. So that's why we have the fire ban system.
And it's important to note, like during a fire advisory, you're allowed campfires still.
Yes.
During a fire ban, you are not.
Correct. You can still use propane.
Right.
Anything that has a gas that you can shut off. That's where the control is.
Anything with an off-on switch.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb. Yeah.
That social aspect of sitting around a fire,
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's fun to do. But when you have that ember that pops off that log, and lands in the grass beside you, and now your house is in peril.
Right. It's just not worth it.
That's not it.
One of our biggest risks that we have is people actually burning garbage in their burning barrel. And so making sure that you have a cover over it and a plan. If there's ever an ember that gets out, it better not be on a windy day, because that has started a lot of fields on fire. And it goes, especially in the spring. There's a lot of long brown grass that is standing, and that's fuel. And then maybe you can talk a little bit, Dan, about how farmers can help a grass fire kind of situation.
Yeah, when a grass fire occurs, it's mass chaos. Now, I've heard an acronym, chaos is chief has arrived on scene, but we're not talking about that in this case. But with that, there'll be one point of contact. The command element will be set up, and most firefighters and all that will know. So if you come to a scene to help, if you bring your discs, you bring water, you bring all that, look for the command. And we're getting to the point where we're trying to get green lights to identify. We're not there yet. We've got some that have it and some that don't. If I'm out there, my truck will have the green lights on. And I'll locate where the command element is, so that way you can come back and look for that. With that, really coordinate the efforts. That's what we ask. Just talk with the command element there. They'll tell you where they need. They may ask for your cell phone number. We'll write it down. We'll have a way to talk to you. This is what we're going to do. This is the action we're going to have. And we'll incorporate you in there. Having some diskers out there cuts down the amount of time. We've actually got people out there with shovels and picks and Pulaski axes trying to make a fire line. That 10-foot, 20-foot wide disc rear makes it so much easier, because you can go to mineral soil right now. As soon as we do that, we've stopped the burning capability of that fire. It's not going any farther.
So it's just worth taking that few extra minutes when you get there to figure out where you're needed.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's the safety of everybody, safety of you and your equipment, and safety of everybody around you.
Yeah. Number one is to always connect with somebody on that fire department to ensure that there's a safety aspect that's getting looked at there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is a common myth or misunderstanding that people might have about emergency response?
We can do everything.
You can't?
The expectations that we can take a llama into an office building.
You can't?
A mental health llama? No, we can't.
Oh, man.
So with that, we can only do so much. If it's within the scope that we're allowed to operate in, we'll do that. If it's outside our scope, we won't, because there's limits and legality just to working outside our scope.
Right.
Green rescue training and all that, we're aware of it, but we don't have the equipment to take care of that. We have neighbors that can do that, but we can mitigate while we're waiting for our neighbors to get here.
And that's actually a perfect segue into my next question. How does Neil County coordinate with our neighboring municipalities and emergency services?
So not only do we kind of work together for fire services, all the fire departments in the area, we also work emergency management wise with the rest of the municipalities in our area too. So Acme, Carbon, Linden, Trochu, Three Hills, and Nehill County are all part of this group that we call CREMA, which is the Nehill Regional Emergency Management Agency. It's legislated through the province that municipalities have an emergency management program. And so we do it together. We also have FCSS that helps us out with the emergency social services side of it.
Yes, they were the ones that put on the reception center when we had to evacuate Swalwell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They also are running these workshops that are called just in case workshops as well.
We took
and
that.
so it's talking about if you need to go in a hurry, what are you going to grab? Or if your house burns down, where are all your important documents that you need?
Because you don't really think of those at the moment,
right?
Unless you're prepared. Yeah. So what kinds of training and exercises does CREMA do to stay prepared?
So as an agency, each municipality has a director of emergency management that's appointed, and we meet every 2 months. Sometimes we go through little tabletops. We also meet some of the agency partners. For instance, like ATCO Electric might come to one of those meetings. We also have exercises, workshops, and so that's going to train our staff, like our municipal staff. Alberta does have an incident management system that we follow, and that is the incident command system. And so I think people have heard of FEMA, which is down in the States, and it's federal. We also have Alberta Emergency Management Agency here. We have an act that we are legislated to practice some of the training.
So with Emergency Preparedness Week coming up, what is the main message this year?
The message that they have this year is be prepared and know your risks. And so what we are asking people to do, kind of like know your surroundings, your house and your property, including fire extinguishers in your home, stuff like that. This year, we're also concentrating on looking up for your hazards, being prepared for different weather, such as like no gas or no power during winter. Looks a lot different during the summer.
Right.
And so looking at your emergency kit for the two different situations one might be in your car if you're traveling. That is really important in the winter, whereas it's important in the summer, but maybe not as important.
Like, yeah, you're not going to freeze to death. If
Exactly. So.
Right. And so what small steps can people take today that might make a big difference in an emergency?
Biggest thing on that one is to have a kit.
Yeah.
Even something simple. Basically have a blanket, have a little bit of food, have a little bit of water in there, check it occasionally, like have something to survive a little bit.
A 72-hour kit is a good thing to have at any time. An evacuation kit actually looks a little bit different, though. An evacuation kit might include a checklist, like don't forget your pets. And I think that was a big issue in some of the deployments in the wildfires of 2023. People got evacuated and left their pets. You also have to think about what you're going to take for your pets when you do take them. So make sure that you are taking some food and some water for your pets and even a comfort toy. Right? Because you might not be back in your house for a number of hours or maybe days.
Right.
You're just not sure. The other thing with an evacuation kit, and again, this is a little bit escalated from a 72-hour kit, you might need your CPAP machine because you might be staying in a different hotel.
Right.
You might need your prescriptions. You might need more than one set of clothing. You might need some cash to get you through for a couple days. The big one that we see all the time is chargers for telephones.
Oh, yeah, that would be huge.
Yeah, and that should go in a 72-hour kit as well. And then if you are evacuated, you also need to look at ensuring that your house is kind of like closed in. Make sure your windows are closed, your doors are locked, maybe put new batteries in your security system. Just because you are going to be leaving your house doesn't mean that we're not going to have security, but in a rural area, it might be very difficult to be able to secure each individual property when they're spread out.
Right. It differs the amount of time you have when you're being evacuated, right? Like sometimes you get a warning and sometimes it's like, you got to go now. So having all that stuff ready.
Right. And when like Dan and I both responded last year to the fires up in Drayton Valley, Brazeau County area.
Yeah, in 23.
In 23. Did I say last year?
You did.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it feels like last year.
It did feel like last.
So we went up there and part of it was that like people evacuated and they didn't take their chemo medication because they thought that they were going to be back in their houses in like 2 hours.
Right.
But they weren't. It took a week. So just some of those little considerations, and even if it's just a checklist before you leave your house is super important, just so that you can double check that. Not all people can just have everything ready sitting at the door and an extra set of everything.
Right.
But a checklist is super important.
Definitely. The CPAP's important too. It would suck to survive an emergency and then be murdered because you were snoring all night.
Yes. Agreed.
A simple thing on the batteries. We have a time change twice a year. So take your batteries in. Like we recommend on the fire side to change your smoke detector batteries in. Have a look at your security systems. You've got a way to check the status. That way when the emergency does hit, that's done. You're not worried about it anymore.
Yeah, that's good thinking. So when you spring ahead and when you fall back, you change the batteries then?
At least check them. It's a good practice to have. The reason most people leave things behind is the panic. So the checklist idea is important. And a lot of emergency management is how do we make it simple so that we can think of it in that time when we're not really thinking. Start with a checklist.
Yeah.
You don't need that $500 kit. You can pick up 5 or 6 things that you already have in your home. You can set up a Tupperware container with everything in it. You know, everybody, I'm sure, I'm dating myself here, so I apologize, may have that big green mixing bowl or whatever that was with that plastic lid. Set a few things in there. You'll always remember that.
Yeah, the Tupperware, you can't leave home without that.
Right?
No. When there is an emergency, how does Nehill County share like updates and emergency alerts with our residents? And what should people do to stay informed?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. So we have the Notify Me system, right, on our website. And so you can sign up for the Notify Me. We also have all of our social media channels. So every municipality has their own social media channels, such as like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that we would post on. But fire departments also have Facebook pages too. And then Alberta Emergency Alerts. So that's a quick app that you can download. It's important because you can actually pick even your own zone wherever you are to get those notifications.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And if there ever is an emergency, make sure you go to those official channels. Like, don't rely on the rumor you're hearing on social media. Like, come to Neil County, just kind of listen to what they have to say.
Our website is set up so that there's like a wealth of information on there.
Right.
There's tons of different links, including that checklist for the 72-hour kit, for the evacuation kit. It has our livestock plan. It has so many resources through the province, and there's so much information.
There really is. And we'll post that link on our podcast page so you can just like go to it real quick and check it all out. It's so good to know.
The big thing with emergency management is that people say it'll never happen. I think that almost everybody has been impacted or knows somebody who has been impacted by an evacuation of some sort or an emergency. In the past 8 years, we've had the tornado, we've had train derailments, we've had train incidents, we've had hazmat. We have had all of these weather-related events as well in Nehill County. And so it's not that it's not going to happen here, because it already has happened here. It just depends on the amount of impact it has on people and property. And so what we ask is that the communities be prepared as much as they can. Take the time to, like I said, go onto the website. There's tons of different resources. Even if you take 10 minutes just to go find some of those resources, print off that checklist for an evacuation or a 72-hour kit. And then maybe follow some social media channels and download some apps, just so that there's a better understanding, because notification is a big part of emergency management. A lot of times we do notify people of emergencies that are happening through social media because it's the quickest and fastest form that we have, easiest, I guess. But at the same time, if you have social media and you know that your neighbor does not, feel free to have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Because we are here as a big community to help each other through any emergency. And that's not only in the notification process, it's in recovery, it is in preparedness. All of our communities just continue to work together in making sure that people are prepared.
Yeah, we all have a part to play.
100%.
Right. Absolutely.
One thing too, when we're talking about community, take time in your community and get to know your neighbor. Most of us in the rural world do that already. You get to know, oh yeah, neighbor on the right, well, they've got somebody that has special needs. They need oxygen. They're on a home concentrator for oxygen for them to work around, or they're taking a special med, or they've just had an injury and are just recovering. Knowing those kind of things about your neighbors makes emergency management that much easier. So when something does happen, hey, we need to help neighbor in house number 123 next door here. And that way it makes our jobs as emergency managers easy. But it makes your life better too, because you're taking care of your neighbor.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant advice. We're definitely better off as a community having you guys at the helm. So thank you. And thank you guys so much for joining me today and sharing your expertise.
Thanks for having us.
Make sure you watch our social media next week, because every day we will be posting a little bit more information about different emergencies that Nehill County has gone through. And make sure you tune in next month for episode 5 of the Nehill Scoop podcast. And who's going to be on? You know what? I don't even know. So we're all going to be surprised. Check that out in June.